All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trench Talk. And today we have on Oday Aboushi. Now, he's been in the NFL since 2013. He's been with a bunch of teams. He's going to give us a lot of really good insights today. So, Uday, thanks again, man, for coming on.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me, Tony.
Yeah, of course. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is it just, recently came out, depending on when this episode gets released, but they actually just announced the NFL that they're doing no more offsite training camps, that everything for training camps will be in-house facilities without any extra members present. So I kind of want to just get, your inside look at that and, what did they tell you about that situation? And, your kind of thoughts on, do you like it, dislike it?
For me, it doesn't matter. Last year, we held training camp at our facility, so we were local. We did go to Houston, but for us to be, practicing at our facility, it's nothing new to us. It's home for us. I think it's better for us to have everything, home base there, so you got the best of everything there. So that's, that being said, being on the safe precaution side of things, the way things are going right now, health-wise in the world, and we need to be on the safer side. So I think this is definitely a smart decision.
Right. Now, are you, because there's obviously mixed opinions, right? I was watching actually, Pat McAfee, and they were talking about how some of the players hate the fans, having the fans around at training camp, while, owners, GMs and stuff, they love the fans because it gives them a chance to sell their brand more. Did you like having the fans in that kind of interactive experience during training camp?
Yeah, it's cool. I like having the fans around. They bring energy to training camp. Training camp could get long and the days get long and the
Right.
days turn into weeks. And so it's a grind. So, sometimes you need that little pick me up. You need the energy, and the fans always bring it. So, for me, I've always liked that. I've always thought they brought energy to it, to practice. And it's an exciting time, the start of things and, having, fans like we have. I'm sure they're really excited for the beginning of the season. So, it always makes it feel like that time of year when you start seeing, training camp and fans.
Yeah, exactly. And then, did they add any, because I only get the one side of it, but did they add extra restrictions as far as like, you can't bring your family around, or you can't bring, extra friends around the facilities at this point? Was there any extra precautions?
They haven't announced anything yet. I'm sure there'll be certain guidelines come closer to training camp report dates.
Right.
But we haven't been told anything. I think right now we'll probably just continue to do the virtual program, our online thing, what I'm saying, and continue to learn that way. And, obviously it's going to be a month-by-month decision as far as what happens forward and where we are as far as, the fight against, COVID and
Yeah. And now, so, with your Zoom meetings right now, is that something that you've been able to adjust to while doing at-home workouts, tracking your own calories and, your own dieting?
Yeah, well, the home Zoom meetings are great because, like, you're in your home setting, you hop on, and, it was a little bit of adjustment to begin with, but, I think everyone, at least our team, I could say, has bought in, and it does feel like you are in a meeting setting when you are in the Zoom. I think everyone's really that locked into it and listening and doing what we got to do. But as far as, working on things like that, I was able to get to a gym, so that hasn't stopped me up. I've been able to work out full blown and get everything I need to do and eat the way I need to eat, thankfully.
Right. So then, is your home base right now, did you say yours is in Houston?
New York.
Oh, so you're in okay. So then you stayed in New York after. That makes sense. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, so New York will always be home base for me.
Yeah, cool. So then you always go back in your off seasons. You have a place there?
Yeah, up in the city.
Okay. Has there ever been a city that, like got you close to staying, there full time?
Houston, I know when I went to Houston, I enjoyed Houston a lot. It was a little bit of adjustment to begin with, but Texas as a state in general is always a good time, and the opportunity there is through the roof. And I really enjoyed the people and the friends I made there. And Houston, I just felt like showed so much love, and then not just because I played for the Texans, but I feel like in general, no matter who you were, Houston, always welcomed you with open arms, and I really like that.
Right. Has the weather ever affected you? Because obviously the differences in weather between a New York versus a Houston, does that play into your thought process at all?
Yeah, honestly, when I got down to Houston from New York, I thought I had asthma that first couple of practices. I was so winded, dude. It was like I couldn't believe it. I was struggling for air. I'm looking around and trainers looking at me. He's like, it's just the humidity. You're gonna need a couple of weeks to get used to it. And
Right.
sure enough, in a couple of weeks, I was able to. It was normal to me. I was able to practice and adjust in it, and I was fine. But the first couple of days was definitely rough. I didn't expect it to be that much of a kicker. But when you're living down there, the weather was an issue for me because it gets so hot,
Yeah.
and I love being cold.
Yeah.
But for me, it was okay. Like as long as I have a working AC, I'll survive the summer. Really, that's
Yeah.
what I did at the time. I'd work out when I had to outside, and then pretty much hibernate the rest of the day inside in the cold.
Right. Yeah, I know. So being from, Calgary in Canada where I am, I'm a cold weather guy, and I'm not saying that all of us, Canadians are, but I'm definitely an testament to it where I would much rather it be like 15 Celsius, 10 Celsius every day, kind of cloudy or something, than I just don't function well in, the 25, 30 Celsius, that's like, the 90 Fahrenheit and stuff. It doesn't work well with me.
Agreed. For me, I've always been a cold guy. Even when it's snowing and it's a winter storm at night, I have my window open and everyone's looking at me crazy. For me, I'm the guy in shorts in the wintertime. So I think it's like how I feel about the cold.
It's a pretty classic lineman stereotype where it's like we wear shorts all year round, and sometimes it's because you can't actually find pants that fit you, and sometimes it's because you actually like it, but it kind of bounces.
For me, it's a comfort thing. I wear shorts 24/7. My wife, she insists when we go out, I'm like, I'll just put on a really nice pair of shorts, and she's like, "Babe, come on, we got pants." I'm like, "But babe, you want to be comfy?" For me, it's always I've gotten to the point in my career in life where it's comfort over style for me in a lot of ways. Like I'm rocking Crocs right now, and that's my new thing. So,
Yeah, that was like even growing up, it was always the challenge of like I didn't even attempt to find jeans or anything that fit me until like high school. It just like I tried a couple times and it wasn't working, so I just gave up on it. What's it actually like though? Yeah, but like I'm like pretty normal as far as my body now, and it's still a struggle sometimes to find pants that fit like my thighs and my waist at the same time. But what's that struggle like for an actual 300 pounds 6'6" guy? And where do you actually get clothes regularly? Do you have just one brand that you basically get everything from?
Yeah, honestly, it depends. For me, everything just gets more expensive because now you have to find more exclusive brands that find, that make your size and things of that sort. So for me, jean wise, I like AG jeans have always, fit me. I've been able to find like the final size they make because the material is so stretchy. I'm able to, rock that. I used to have some custom stuff made. Wasn't a fan of that. But yeah, man, whenever I'm able to find my size, the right time to do, I try to stock up and just be ready, maybe grab a couple of pairs and kind of, it's rare that you do stumble across something your size and that actually looks like, that fits too. For me, I feel like I'm not like, I'm more taller and longer as a human.
Yeah. Actually the thing I've been talking to a company about some kind of partnership right now is this dude that used to be a lineman. Again, he's like 6'6", pushing 300-pound guy that he started his own clothing company. And the goal is not obviously specifically for linemen, but that's his background. And his whole value is that it's these extra long tees and it's long, but it also fits well in the shoulders and the arms, which is something like if you have to go up to like a 3XL shirt, the arms always fit like shit. It's just like, it's not good.
It's just way too baggy and shit.
Yeah. That's actually the one thing that no matter like how much I shop with her, my girlfriend never understands. It's like, we went to one store that she was, working for in their head office at one point, and she took me shopping one day to get like, I wanted to try their shirts. And I went in, I found one shirt. It's like the best the shirts ever fit me. And I bought 7 colors a day. And so then I need new shorts right now. And she's like, oh, we have these new shorts. So I was like, all right, we're going. If they fit, I'm going to buy like 7 more, right? Just the same short, every color. And it's like, she just doesn't get it.
Yeah, no, that's how you got to do it. For me, I'm not a big shopaholic, but when I do shop, I do find stuff. I'll try to get I'll try to stock up and stuff like that. But there's some good brands out there that start to make some good big man stuff. That's pretty solid.
The more we promote the lineman community, the more we're gonna get recognized, and the more we'll get our own clothes. It's gonna work out.
I'm telling you, soon we're gonna figure something out. You know what I'm saying? There's so many opportunities, not enough time.
Yeah,
we'll get it rolling.
All right. So, I kind of want to jump into your career a little bit at this point, and going back to starting at your high school. So, I only have the information that's available to me, and all I basically was able to find on your high school is back then you were still 6'6", you were still over 300 pounds, you were a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. What
Mhm.
made you choose, going to the Virginia Cavaliers?
Well, for me, at the time, I was actually committed to Boston College, and things went south. There were coaches, and they fired their coaches, so I decommitted and got back on the market. And at the time, Virginia, being from New York, it was 5 hours away, and I wanted to go somewhere where my parents and my family were able to come watch me play and ball out. So, that was a good opportunity, distance-wise, and Virginia being one of the top schools in the country was also a big, deal for me because I wanted to make sure I graduated and had a solid plan B. And at the time, linemen were being drafted in the first round and being drafted, Virginia was getting players drafted left and right. So for me, it was just felt like a good fit. I got along with Coach Groh, who drafted me, him being a New York guy. He, not drafted me, excuse me, recruited me. And him being a New York guy, we got along really well. And it ended up just being a good fit and probably the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah. So then, can you walk me through your college career a little bit about, your starts, how long you were there for? I saw you were, all ACC at one point. What was that 4-year experience like for you?
It was great for me, coming in. It was a little bit of a challenge, and as far as getting in shape and catching up to the speed of the game. I ended up playing my freshman year as a true freshman, played a little bit. And then sophomore year just took over at left tackle and then started at left tackle the next 3 years, every year, every game. I think it was like 34 starts maybe or 35 starts consecutive. And then I won. I was a ACC. I won. Not won, but I made first team All ACC, All American. I think it was ESPN All American and things of that sort. So my college career ended up doing well. We didn't win as much, but I was able to play at a high level, and then we had a great competition. And yeah, that was my time at Virginia.
Huh. So then, you were all ACC, you had all these starts. Were you surprised that, when you got to the NFL, you see all these linemen going in the first round? Were you kind of shocked, disappointed, kind of expected to see, where you fell in that fifth round?
No, honestly, I thought it was probably going to go a little higher, being that so many guys got drafted so early. But for me, one thing I felt like that really got me was my combine. My combine wasn't the best, so I felt like that was a big, that was a notch on my belt. But other than that, my film was solid, and stands to this day, if it wasn't, solid, I don't think I would be going into my 8th season as far as me being able to play this game. Yeah, with that year being, that was probably one of the most loaded drafts ever for linemen, and so, I think it was just really a competitive ass year to come out too. There's a lot of people, a lot of good players who got drafted that year. To get drafted amongst those guys, in general was huge.
Yeah. So, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the combine, because every year you have guys that basically spike their draft cap because of how good their combine is. Other guys ruin it. And at the same time, there's always someone on the other side saying the combine's useless. Watch the tape. That'll tell you all you need to know. What are your thoughts on the combine experience from, a player perspective, and if it's actually, valid in, your draft cap?
Honestly, looking back at it, it's really it's hard to explain. It's a lot of people. For me personally, I don't think it's worth the shit. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like you could look like Tarzan and play like Jane all day, but there's guys who don't perform as well at the combine who end up being some of the best players. We don't get invited to the combine and be some of the best players to ever play the game. So I feel like when it comes to football and sports, like you really the valuation comes watching someone's game tape. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? In the NFL, like past the combine, it's not like they're going to be, hey, in the middle player, I want you to jump 48 yards in the middle, or I want 48 feet, or I want you, like you have to do. Don't get me wrong, like what I'm saying, you have to be an athlete, but playing the game at a high level at a D1 institute should show coaches, what I'm saying, all they need to see.
Do the drills that linemen have to do at the combine accurately represent, what they're going to need to do on the field?
Not necessarily. I think it's gotten better. As far as them start implementing drills, like more combination stuff and working with center and guards, working with tackles kind of things of that sort, seeing how people fit into blocks and footwork. I think that's gotten better. The hip drill is another one, seeing, linemen getting to switch their hips. That's also a good one. I think the drills for the most part has been solid for linemen, but I think it's the testing part that's more the bullshit. What I'm saying? That doesn't really reflect a player, a lineman's ability to play the game of football.
Yeah. Yeah, actually the one thing I'm still pissed about was I put some money down on Joey Bosa a couple of years ago. Because at this point he was projected like the number 1, number 2 pick. So I was like, okay, easy bet. The next day he had his combine workout. And then I just watched my money basically go down the toilet just because that one, how slow his 40 was that year. I think that's what it was. Everyone started to doubt it. Yeah.
I don't remember that. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, everyone started to doubt him after his 40 came out, and it was like, I think it was a 4.9 or something like that was not supposed to be that speed for him. And then it was just like everyone started backing off if he was going to be what he was expected to be, and it cost me some money at the same time.
Yeah, but then look at him now.
Yeah, exactly, right?
He's a good football player. So
yeah,
that just goes to show you that it's more, and another thing too is, I feel like when it comes to combine and stuff like that, it's hard to, the way people play the game is huge. I think that's something that always get overlooked. People's ability to maintain their composure throughout the game, stay focused, continue to execute. Like, I'm saying, those are players, that go slept on. And those are the players, that at the end of the day, maybe because they didn't test that well or they didn't look a certain way, didn't get that typical, prototypical opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, going in, back to your draft, you're drafted by the Jets. Was that kind of like the hometown dream for you, being drafted by, your home team?
Yeah, it was really cool, man. Being in Virginia for 4 years and coming back and being able to play for the hometown and being around my family, always being able to come to the games and things like that was huge for me because, it was a big transition in the NFL, me not being able to play as much as I wanted to my rookie year and having my friends, and not my friends, having my family close to help me get through some of those tough times was huge, so it was a blessing. It was a blessing to have them around and be playing, for the New York team.
Yeah. So then after that, though, you were with New York for a bit, but then you kind of bounced around a little bit. You went from the Seahawks to the Raiders, Cardinals. What's that experience like of having to always pick up and move? And yeah.
Honestly, it happened really fast. For me, it was more of a mindset, So coming out of Seattle, I dislocated my shoulder. I ended up tearing my humeral ligament. So for me, I need to get surgery, and I knew it was going to be a more of a recovery process than expected. So I wasn't going to be ready to sign with a team anyways, So for me, I didn't sign with anybody during free agency after Seattle because I still wasn't healthy. I was still rehabbing. I was still getting right. And then the opportunity, Coach Cable coaching with the Raiders, he was with me in Seattle as my line coach. Right. I was, he hit me up and he was like, listen, we could use some help, and for me, I knew I was going to go over there. I knew I was going to make the team. I knew I was going to make the Raiders team, although I balled out in preseason. I knew I was going to make the team. But for me going there, I needed that to go there and show that I was healthy and I was able to play. So that's what I did. I played during preseason and I was healthy and I was able to do what I got to do and showcase that I could still play and my shoulder was fine and everything like that, because there was some concern that like my shoulder wasn't all the way healthy. So once I was able to perform like I did during preseason with Oakland, I knew I was going to have an opportunity to play somewhere else and continue my career. And then Arizona called 4 weeks later after I got cut. And I was with Arizona since, and then after Arizona, I signed with Detroit and I've been here ever since. But like, I knew mentally that's the route I was going to have to take to kind of get back on track, because like I knew no team was going to really sign me until they knew I was really physically healthy.
Right. Can you talk me through a little bit of the rehab process for, something like your shoulder, considering I'm assuming what you go through for rehab is a lot different than what the average Joe is able to go through for if he does anything to, his shoulder has any tears?
Yeah, like for me, thankfully it wasn't major. It was a humeral ligament, and it was a pretty it was a long recovery, but it was a pretty straightforward recovery. So a lot of I'd get up, probably do about 2.5 hours, 3 hours of rehab, and then from there go train for about 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? Because like once you rehab, you have to keep up with the rest of your body, so you have to modify workouts and things of that sort and continue, to stay in shape and get healthy, so it's a whole regimen that you really have to stay disciplined to and keep that routine.
Is there anything that you as players get your hands on as far as, health related technologies go that we aren't able to really ever see or use?
I don't think it's anything like special. I think anyone who's in the need of any situation where they need certain equipment nowadays could go get it at any clinic.
Yeah.
For us, I think we do have access to a lot of cool stuff. We have access to like a lot of recovery facilities and things of that sort that we use on the regular, obviously. But that just comes with our job, just like a firehouse would have a sweet house to sleep in and cool fire trucks and things of that sort. It's like comes with the job as far as like them needing to be prepared for whatever comes next. So, medically, I don't think it's any more than anybody would need if it was an emergency. But I would say it's definitely more accessible for us.
Yeah. So, with this time between you, bouncing around different teams, injuring yourself, was there ever any self-doubt that set in about maybe I shouldn't play football? Maybe I should, switch positions between guard and tackle and, which one was actually the better fit for you? Any of that kind of stuff set in?
No, not really. Being hurt when I hurt my shoulder, that was the first time I was ever hurt too. Like, as far as missing time ever in football, I never missed time in college, never missed time before that. So that was really my first injury missing time. So, it was more for me mentally than it was ever physical as far as, getting my mind right to do it. And when I went on IR in Seattle, it's like once you go on IR, you're kind of a lone wolf. You got to just figure out your own routine, your own schedule. Obviously the team has bigger fish to fry. You got a game, right, et cetera. So like, it's only right they continue to go. But the guys who go on IR, it's like you go from riding this high horse to like being put right on the side and kind of like getting tuned and getting ready and healthy. But the horse keeps moving as So like, it was more mentally than anything as far as the recovery time and the whole process for it.
Yeah. So then, you talked at the beginning about you really wanted this really good education because you are thinking about your future after football. And that's one of the things with the podcast that I do want to emphasize to people, especially younger watching this, that there has to be life after football. There's always life after football. Do you have any of those kind of plans in place about other passions, other careers that you want to go back, finish school, anything like that?
Yeah, you know what they always say about the NFL. What does NFL stand for, right? You know what that stands for?
No.
Not for long.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So I've been blessed to be going to my 8th season, and honestly, I never would have thought I'd be in my 8th season. So I've always thought about playing in the NFL, but never saw it as like the one and only thing. For me, it's been a blessing that I've played and I've continued to ride on. So it's been amazing. But for me, post football, I see myself, even currently right now, I do a lot of real estate. That's always intrigued me as far as like, owning property and building stuff and venturing into new ideas. So for me, I've always, my mind's never stopped turning as far as what's next in my career, as far as life and whether it's financially or emotionally and physically. I feel like I'm constantly rolling towards the next idea. And for me, it's been the hobbies of, real estate and cars and my family and things of that sort.
You probably shouldn't be talking about cars if you're trying to talk about making sound investments for the future, but there's other things.
Well, when you invest solid for the future, you're able to have some cars.
Yeah.
You gotta play like that.
Yeah. So what are your goals, still currently NFL, before, any retirement or anything like that? What drives you more, your personal goals, like, Pro Bowl, All Pro, all those, or the team related goals, the Super Bowls, the AFC, NFC championships? What pushes you?
Honestly, it's the overall, it's the hardware, man. You want the hardware. I think everybody, that's ultimately something, that you hold on to forever and forever attached. Not to you name Pro Bowl. Don't get me wrong, Pro Bowl. That's All Pro. That's all good stuff, and that's amazing to be at the top of the craft. And that's but like, I think anyone would say being a champion over something like that, especially that feeling, man. I've never felt that feeling of winning a Super Bowl or being in a position like that, and I hear guys talk about it, and the way they talk about that experience, man, just, I just put myself in their shoes, or I try to put myself in their shoes, and that's what really drives me, honestly, to like really at some point, like, you just have to just do it, and like, no more this, no more that, and I think, the older I get in my career, the more I realize, especially with every team that, that especially here in Detroit now, it's like we have the pieces, like it's why not now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like we're able to do what we have to do. So for me, that's always been the motivating factor of sharing that moment in time, with everybody, and the confetti and all that other good shit that comes with winning, the big one, and having your
Yeah.
family so proud and the community so proud. It's bigger than, it's not bigger than life, absolutely not, but it's a pretty special moment, I'm saying, that really, a lot of people will cherish forever.
Yeah, I think every year it always kind of shocks people, and surprises me as well, where you see that you think about this individual thing of like a Super Bowl, but how much joy and it can actually bring to an entire community of people wanting to come out and celebrate it. Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the underlooked thing, is the actual impact that just winning a Super Bowl can have on the greater community of a city.
Yeah, I mean, you see it, man. You see these parades when the teams win, and the excitement of the community. Everything goes up. Everybody's business is doing better. The economy is doing better. People are happy. People, they have something to hang their hats on. And every community, that wins it, is has struggled. What I'm saying, and to
Yeah.
a certain extent, to where, like, football's been their outlet, and that team's been their outlet, and for them to bring the joy and bring, the championships up to the city, people have something that they could all enjoy now. It's no one to say, hey, it's just mine to enjoy. This is something for everybody to get a piece of, and to everybody to enjoy.
Yeah. Was there ever a team you were on that you felt that the guys were more focused on the personal stuff than the collective?
No, not particularly. What I'm saying? In New York, when I was with the Jets, we had a lot of characters there. We had a lot of big name guys there. We had a lot, for me being a rookie there, I just sat back and watched a lot of shit. I watched a lot of people. I watched how people, my locker mate was Antonio Cromartie and Ed Reed, my rookie year. And I'm like, holy shit, I got, Cromartie talking out my one year, and then I got Ed Reed, Ed Reed speaks for itself. And I'm just, every day just came in and just constantly watched these guys, and it's whether it was their attitude, whether it was the way they approach the game, or the way they approach people. For me, it was always super interesting, and kind of like a welcome to the NFL moment, to
Yeah.
really see people's character and personality start to like really weigh in on situations. Because now you realize you're in the NFL. You're not in college no more. It's not about like, oh, you missed class and shit.
Yeah.
It's now big boys talk.
Yeah. So, what did you learn most in your first couple of years in the league? Even just about, the O-line position itself.
Forget. Like, you have to, especially at the O-line position, like, shit's going to go wrong. What I'm saying? Those guys get paid too, whether it's a sack, a penalty, and things of that sort. And one thing, my first couple of years, I was stressed out so much, and I think took a toll on me, was that whenever I did fuck up, I would hold it against myself and like really dwell on it for days, and even the best guys I've seen make mistakes. One of the best things they do is also just move on and attack, get to the next rep and just perform. And those guys are the ones that end up being some of the best players. So for me, one big thing was just, letting things go and just letting things be. If things messed up, I would not let it roll into another play, and not overanalyze things. Obviously being at the highest level, everything's constantly being critiqued. So you start to put yourself in that mindset. You start to roll with that mentality of like, okay, is this look good? Is that good? Sometimes you just have to say, like, what I'm saying? Like, fuck it, let it ride, and next play is the next play, and whatever happened, happened.
Yeah. Did you ever have a guy that was kind of your mentor in the league, another guy on one of your teams?
Yeah, I think two guys actually played me in New York. Three guys actually. Two guys, Willie Colon and Breno Giacomini. And then when I played in Houston and also in Seattle with me, Dwayne Brown, He's a guy, you know what I'm saying, I always looked up to as far as, the way he conducted himself and what he stood for and the way he went about his business too. Because he wasn't always like, like your most typical left tackle, but
Hmm.
he was super efficient and solid, and he believed in himself and what he was able to do. And for me, that gave me a lot of confidence as well. But Willie Colon and Bruno Giacomini were still today my brothers I talk to left and right all the time.
Yeah. Was then there a certain play style that you started to gain more likeness towards the farther you got in the league, as far as, focusing more on technique and efficiency versus, overall power?
Yeah, for me, it was, one thing about the league will teach you is you can't just rely on being the fastest and strongest and quickest. Like, it's going to come down to technique and things like that. So for me, after my first year, that following year, I went into training camp. And before that, I worked on a lot of technique all off season, technique, steps, hand placement, etc. And I'm really trying to refine that. And I think it helped me a lot going into my second year. And I thought I made a huge jump in my second year of my career, and I was able to start, do that season and play and perform at a high level as well. Because I started to understand that my technique was going to take me farther than just strength and speed or whatever
Mhm.
quickness would have,
Yeah. Was there a drill that had in high school, college, that you found was still super effective for improving your technique all the way through each level?
Uh, yeah, and I will, and one thing, this drill is 50-50 because I hate it and I love it too, is one-on-ones.
Yeah.
I think any lineman doesn't like to do one-on-ones against a D lineman because he has a two-way go, right? And
Right.
I think one thing about one-on-ones people need to I think help linemen understand, or if they looked at it this way, I feel like would probably see it as a better way of doing things. The fact that, like, if it's practice, then when you do one-on-ones, like, you should want to win the rep, obviously, but like, you should try shit. You should really like just say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna try shit," and I don't care who's watching. If it works, it works. If not, then I know. Then hey, I can at least see, And that's one thing. A lot of guys I feel like just go out during one-on-ones and try to do everything to play safe, and I do that as well too. And it takes a lot for some shit for me to really think about to be like, okay, you know what, this time I'm gonna just throw this hand instead of this hand, and I'm gonna just see whatever happens. And like, so as much as that drill sucks, I think it's important to, like, when you do that drill, like, you should go into it just with the mentality that, like, hey, it's practice, and obviously, like, you're able to understand what's gonna work and what's not gonna work.
Yeah. Great. So then, we're kind of segueing into the portion that, a lot of guys look forward to in this is, I get asked a lot about, do I have any advice to get into the NFL? And the fact is I don't, because I never made it to the NFL. So I'm not really the best source. So, other than, forget every play, the overanalyzing that stuff you talked about, do you have any advice for people that are trying to push to make it to that next step?
Yeah, honestly, one piece of advice I would say, and this really goes for anybody trying to accomplish anything, maybe at the highest level or trying to innovate anything, is like, you have to trust your vision, right? In order to do something, in order to perform in life, I believe you have to be a visionary. You have to understand that there's a vision. You have to see yourself doing. You have to see yourself making that play, inventing that product, making that pitch, whatever it may be, making that investment. Like, you have
Mm.
to really truly believe in that vision. And 10 out of 10 times, no one's ever going to see that vision like you will, and no one will ever see it through your eyes. So there's going to be people all the time that'll tell you, hey, that's a waste of money, or hey, you'll never make that, or that's a bad idea, that's a bad product. But if you truly believe in something and you truly run with your vision, sky's the limit as far as what, what I'm saying, what you'll be able to accomplish as far as anything in life. And you'll
Mm.
see it too. If you can really envision it, you'll be successful. If you envision it and you think in your mind, what I'm saying, like, I kind of see it, then, you probably kind of will make it, but if you could really see yourself in that position and see yourself at that level and doing what you want to do, I truly think you'll put yourself in that position. You'll be ready for it.
Huh. Yeah, that's really good. I think a lot of times people talk about, manifesting your visions, and, people, even like, people like LeVar Ball, have taken a lot of flack in the past for some of the things that they've said, but I'm a proponent of, at the same time, speak it into existence. And if there's something you really want, you can go for it. So yeah,
Yep.
that's really good advice, especially because it doesn't just apply to football. It applies to life. And that's one of the things I do want to gain from this podcast is greater life advice than just football. Because like you said, football's not forever. But so I kind of want to segue a little bit now into learning a little bit more about you personally. The one thing that everyone always wants to know about and gets views every time I post it is, what's your go-to food? What's the one thing, if you had to eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Honestly, probably chicken parm.
Yeah.
Chicken parm with penny vodka pasta sauce with over
Every day.
pasta. Every day I could smash that.
Damn. So are you doing
Yeah.
like one full chicken breast cut up, or how many do you like eat at a time?
Honestly, my wife, she'll make like, you know what I'm saying? She'll just make a tray probably as 12, and I'll probably eat like 4. And then
Damn.
probably like 4.5 because she won't finish her chicken breast. So I'll eat the half of hers. And yeah, so probably 4.5.
Is
Maybe
that like
not
a,
counting the few I pick at while she's just finished like cooking them. So
Jeez. So is
probably
that like a big shock for, because I don't know how long you've been with your wife, but like even for my mom, by the time I got to high school, the shock of how much, or even my friends that were a lot bigger guys than me, the shock of how much they could eat every day was like a huge eye opener for her. Was that, something where at the beginning, if you didn't have a lot of money, you had to, consciously think about?
yes, but I mean during high school too, I was figuring out how to get the most food with $5,
Yeah.
or a couple of dollars. So for me, I was always trying to find deals and bargains. But when I first got married, my wife, throughout our engagement and everything, I've been married now almost coming on 5 months. Even through our engagement, I would always, throw down and eat, and she kind of got a gist of it earlier. She was like, "Wow, like you could really eat." But I think it really caught her off guard is how fast I eat.
Yeah.
Too. By the time we finish, she gets a few bites in, I'm wrapping up to like, what I'm saying, get cleaning up. So for me, I've always been a super fast eater, and she's always, been about that her time.
Yeah. I have the same thing where I'm not like a big talker at dinner. I'll just kind of
Same.
sit down and people will be talking, like my family, and they're all talking, having a conversation, and I'm just putting food back, and they look, and every time it's the same shocked about like, shit, you're already done. I'm like, I didn't say a word like for the last 10 minutes. Like it's gone.
Yep, exactly. And putting the next, for me too, is like when I eat and it's so good, I'm constantly gauging myself for like what's next. I'm like, okay, I want to finish this plate, and then I'm going to go back for like this, and it's going to have this combination. And for me, like, yeah, I've never been a big talker in general, especially when I'm eating. For me, I don't like to like have full conversation with my mouth and stuff,
Yeah.
food, and I want to just keep eating.
All right. So then this is actually kind of a hot topic is when you eat, say if you have, your chicken parm and your penne, are you the kind of guy that cuts it all up, mixes it all together and just eats a meal, or do you just do the chicken, then just do the penne? Because I know some people that like they have to eat the chicken, then their potatoes, then their greens, then their pasta or whatever. Or you kind of
I
mix it.
No, so what I like to make the perfect bite every time. So I normally cut a piece of chicken breast, and then I go get me some pasta, and then I have that. I normally have the chicken breast and pasta together. If there's mashed potatoes and broccoli, then I get some mashed potatoes and I eat it with the broccoli together. Or if I'm feeling real, goofy, I'll take some chicken breast with mashed potatoes, broccoli, and pasta. So I won't just mix it all together and just, I like to eat it like the perfect. I try to like to get the perfect combination bite every time.
Yeah. See, my big thing is I'm not a fan of like having to use a knife the entire time I'm eating. So like I sit
I
down in a
don't.
meal. No, yeah, I sit down, I cut everything up first, I mix everything together, and then I just eat like a big plate of whatever it turns out to be, and I'm completely happy with that. And it drives my girlfriend crazy. It disgusts her because she can't do that. She has to eat every individual portion separately. But yeah, it's just the way I do it. It's the quickest method.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it's. I like to eat section by section, but I've always just like said fuck it. And for me, especially with my wife now, like she'll be cooking, and one thing she always hates about is like before it's even done, I'll start, like tasting everything, and
Yeah.
for the third, fourth time, and she's like, okay, you know what, like, what's the point?
Yeah. So then, with your extra time where you've been at home right now, you obviously talked about real estate, cars. Do you have any other hobbies or tasks that you like to do that have been able to keep your mind busy that you've been able to, focus a lot of your energy on?
Honestly, I come from a big family, so I've been able to spend a lot of time with family. I have a bunch of nieces and nephews, 19 to be exact, and so whenever any given day I'm able to run and grab one and hang out. So that's been a good time. Today I played tennis for the first time. Yeah, my wife got me to play tennis. That was actually really fun.
Yeah.
Did that, and yeah, that's really been it. I've been trying to spend as much time as I can with family. Normally, obviously, I'd be in Detroit right now, but that being possible, I'm able to,
Right.
spend more time with family and be around more for the birthdays and things of that sort.
Yeah. So actually, with the situation in New York, how much stuff has reopened at this point? Because where I'm from, all the golf courses are open, which has been unreal because I love golf. It was my thing I picked up when I finished football, but it's been kind of a nightmare. I don't know if you play golf or followed it at all, but there's so many people playing it right now because it's literally the only sport people are allowed to play, that we have people that have never played just doing random shit. Literally yesterday, we had a dude from an opposite fairway lose his ball and just drop a new one on the middle of our fairway and hit back towards us and clip the trees beside us. And it's that's the weird thing right now is we're getting all these people that are just trying to get outside and they're just playing whatever or doing whatever they
Honestly,
can. And it's a nightmare.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy. Maybe not as bad. I'm not hitting it towards you guys, but I'm that guy that's trying to get out on the golf course more. I've played a few times. My teammates play a lot. A lot of guys play in the league, a lot of golf. So for me, I would definitely love to start getting into and start learning how to play. And what better time than now, especially with nothing but time. So I've been trying to go here and there. But for the most part, New York City, things are starting to reopen. Things are very much up and running. Slowly but surely, still a lot of takeout, still a lot of delivery.
Yeah.
Major things, no gatherings, things of that sort.
Yeah. Yeah. We went to one of our former favorite sit down restaurants for the first time on Friday. It was weird because it had 30% of the tables. So it looked really empty, but it was it felt good to just get out and just do something
and
together.
Finally change up the scenery and get some service and eat.
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome. So we're, kind of getting close to the end of this, but the one thing I always do like to give people time is any topics that, you'd like to talk about, charities, anything you'd like to plug. Was there anything that, you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, honestly, I think we'd be remiss to not mention our current situation right now. In America, I know you probably have listeners from all over Canada, especially, and I know that we're at a time where, emotions are running high and enough is enough, and there has to be change and shit has to change and things have to get better for the African American community, and it really does, and it's 2020, and I think more people are talking about it, which is a start. I think people are starting to, break that barrier of that weird, awkward conversation of you just having to accept that you can't be blind to this shit no more. And there's a lot, to fight for, and there's a lot to say, not just, in this fight, but, as a fellow human, as a part of mankind. Standing, for that fellow person is something, that we really can't get, lose sight of. So, despite everything going on, I think emotions run high and things, and people are out showing their frustration. I think it's also important, to not just, show emotion, but to show action as well. And I think a huge step in showing action is giving, people, the opportunity to do good in your community, which is, paying attention to local elections and things of that sort. And, I've never been a huge politics guy, and I probably never will, as far as, getting deep diving into elections and things of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
But, for us to have change and for us to be a part of something bigger than us and for our future generation, the major and most immediate thing we can do is look to the people who run our counties and our mayors and things of that that sort. And I think when we're more aware of that and who we're electing and us actually using our each other's platform to do what we got to do and elect the right people, I think is a
Mm-hmm.
huge step. So with everything that being said, I encourage everyone to be uncomfortable and do something maybe you never thought you would do, and look into who's running the show and what you could do and where you could place your support and what's next, because there's a lot of people in certain positions who are ready to do good and
Right.
have the opportunity to make serious change that we really need, and it's a matter of people taking a different route and really understanding that this is a good way of doing your part in changing everything.
Yeah. I think the uncomfortable part's definitely a big factor where when this whole thing started, like over the weekend, I wasn't really sure what to do because it's such unfamiliar territory for me. I saw everyone posting the Blackout Tuesday, and frankly, like literally, I was just so uncomfortable that I didn't know what to do in that situation. I was like, do I post this? Do I not post this? Like trying to think through the process of, am I even still, I was like, do I even post anything on Instagram today? Or I was like, is there still like a blackout period in one sense that I've been trying to figure out. But the one thing that this has actually like really changed for me was my opinion was kind of always, you have the racist older people, right? So like you always the kind of people where they're not changing their ways. They're at that point in their life where it is what it is with them. And so I always kind of thought about it like I didn't really see what people doing now had an impact. So I was like, we just basically we need to wait for these people to die.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then after that it'll kind of be good. But the thing that kind of brought me back into reality was I was looking at my Facebook feed of some people that I knew, that I went on some trips on that were really nice people. They're Americans, and then I saw them posting like anti Black Lives, not anti Black Lives Matter, but like all the other kind of things that they were posting where it kind of brought me back down to earth. I was like, oh, it's not just an old person thing. Like this goes
Yeah.
deeper than that, where there's still people my age that have that mindset. And even when I posted the Blackout Tuesday, there was junior high school kids commenting on it about back the blue and like it's not Black Lives, it's all lives matter, and just like people going back and forth. And I left their comments so people can see who these people are. But yeah, I think that was kind of where it started to make a turn for me, was when I started to see it in kids my age and younger my age that still held those viewpoints, and that it's going to be more work than I thought it was going to be to actually have change.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think, I thought at some point, that might have been a solution as well. But, these people are just breeding the next people in line to do what they
Mm-hmm.
do and to keep that going. So for us, in order for that breeding to stop, it has to be cut off,
Right.
and when I mean cut off, it has to be a change up, it has to be someone different. It has someone with different views in that position that's able to change the narrative and motive. And at the end of the day, people could say what they want, but the facts are the facts. The videos are the videos. The situation is the situation. African Americans have been, clearly assaulted and on the other end of the stick when it comes to racism, as far as them having the short end of the stick, to say the least.
Right.
And it's time that we as a nation who continue to practice our freedom of speech and equality and the things of everyone, our families and soldiers and our
Yeah.
forefront continue to fight for. It's time that we put those actions to use, and we just not see it on a declaration and all looks good there. But it's time that we as a country cut the bullshit and start taking a stand and standing for what our values are.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point. And the other thing is, being from Canada, I was like, we don't really have these issues as much here. But actually, again, the thing that kind of shocked me was we have a figure in Calgary. His name's John Cornish. And so he played for our football team, the Stampeders, for a long time. Everyone knows him in the city. He doesn't play anymore, but they basically made a position for him on the team as like the brand ambassador, where he still comes to all games and cheers on the fans and gets the fans going, all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Right. And then it was like 3 days ago, he was going for a walk with his wife down in like an alley, his back alley in his neighborhood. And then apparently a couple or whoever it was started like screaming at him, like, get out of our alley. Like, you're not gonna, basically they thought like, they were looking for shit to steal or whatever it was, right? Where these people were clearly not happy to be seeing him in their alley, and they were suspicious of his activity and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, again, that's when it started to hit for home, where it was like, being in a football background, I don't know anyone that doesn't know who John Cornish is. Right. And it was like, oh, I guess we have the same problems here. It may not be to the full extent, but it's still a clear problem.
Yeah. And then that's the other thing, is like, no matter, people are like, oh, athletes have a different, they're successful, you have money, and even then though, nowadays, even as an African American being successful, that still doesn't guarantee you safety and guarantee them that equal opportunity that if they get pulled over, they might have the same opportunity as if a white person gets pulled over, So that money doesn't mean nothing, that status doesn't mean nothing. At the end of the day, it's they're constantly being judged off the color of skin and not the content of their character. And that's something, that's been going on for a long time.
For me, kind of, I posted the Blackout Tuesday, and I understand it and I support it, but I've, again, been trying to figure out, kind of what are the next steps for me to join in some way. And maybe for me, it might literally just be this podcast and talking about it right now. Raising awareness to that. But yeah, I'm trying to figure that out.
I mean, listen, the conversation is great. I think the conversation needs to be had. I think people need to stop being in denial of the shit and hold people accountable. I think that's what it comes down to, is holding people in positions of power accountable. And that's something that will change a lot of people's thought process on a lot of things. But for you, you want to make that change, and if it's something you could really support, I urge you to help. I'm saying, whether it's a local justice system or maybe it's you voting in a way where you're able to vote, certain candidates in certain positions. And for me, I challenge my fellow teammates and my fellow peers to do the same thing. For you guys want to make a difference. If you're not, one of those to protest or be in a crowd, etc. Do your other due diligence as far as knowing, who's in position, what's what, and what you could be funding better, or maybe what you could be, putting your time towards, and who you could be supporting better.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm excited about the conversation. We'll see what happens moving forward. The one thing I am kind of curious about is the whole, with the amount of riots and stuff, if there's going to be a whole new wave of coronavirus that literally starts next week. Because all this, I really have no idea. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens there. But at this point, again, just keep talking and then go from there.
Yeah, one step at a time.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So Oday, I think we're pretty much out of time for today. So again, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And we talked about a lot of cool stuff. This is the first time I've ever actually got in depth about how someone eats food. And it actually got me really excited to talk about. So yeah, again, thanks again for that, man. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, and have a good night.
Appreciate it, Tony. You too, man. Take it easy.
All right, you too.